Hello dear students, welcome to English class. Today we will do the remaining part of the chapter The Kingdom of Fools from your book Moments. Let us start the story. Till now we people have understood that the king was a foolish one and he changed the rule of his kingdom. He asked his people to treat day. The people had to follow the rules made by him. Then there was a case in the king's court, and the king was trying to solve this case. During this case, the dancing girl was being called as she was considered the real accused in the murder of the person who was dead due to the falling of the wall of the merchant's house. The person was none other than but a thief who was stealing in the merchant's house, and during this task he was killed by the falling of the wall. But the brother of the thief went to the king for compensation and for justice, and therefore the king was trying to solve the case. In that case, he called the dancing girl. The king told the dancing girl that it has fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. You have killed an innocent man. You have to be punished. She thought for a minute and said, My lord, wait. I know why. I know now why I was walking up and down that street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses, said he would give it now and then he would give it then, and so on. Dancing girl as the real accused. The dancing girl stressed her mind and requested the king to listen to her. She tried to defend herself and she told the king that to give the punishment to her is not a justification and she should also be listened to by her side. Then the king asked him, Okay, you may give your statement, you may give your point of view. Then she told the king that when she was young and the wall was being constructed at that time, she was going up and down many times into the street. There was not her fault. Actually, she had given an order to make some jewelry to some goldsmith, and the goldsmith was excuses again and was giving some excuses again and again, and therefore she had to take many rounds dozen times in a day to that goldsmith. That was the reason. So she was not the real culprit. The goldsmith was the real culprit who made the dancing girl to up and down from that street many times. That was when this bricklayer saw me. It's not my fault, my lord, it's the damn goldsmith's fault. So that time when I was passing through the street, might be possible that bricklayer saw me and he was distracted because of the jingling of my anklets. Take so much round from that street. Poor thing, she is absolutely right, thought the king, weighing the evidence. So when the king was thinking about that evidence, that proof, then he thought that the girl or the dancing girl, who was an old woman now, she was absolutely right. There was not her fault. We have got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once. So the king ordered his men to bring that goldsmith to his court. The king's bailiffs searched for the goldsmith, who was hiding in a corner of his shop. When he heard the accusation against him, he had his own story to tell. "My lord," he said, "I'm a poor goldsmith. It's true I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's orders. They had a wedding coming and they wouldn't wait. You know how impatient rich men are." So when the goldsmith was taken to the court of the king, he also had his own story for his defense. He told the king that he accepted that he made the dancing girl to come to his door many times, but there was not his fault because he had already one more order which was for the jewelry of a rich merchant, because his daughter's wedding was coming near and therefore he couldn't wait. And that was the reason that he was not able to fulfill the order of the dancing girl in time. So, who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing this poor woman's jewelry, made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, which has now fallen on an innocent man and killed him? Can you name him?" The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. Now justice had come full circle, thought the king, back to the merchant. When he was rudely summoned back to the court, he arrived crying, "It wasn't me, but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead. I'm innocent." So when the rich merchant was being searched, who kept the poor woman's jewelry from finishing and made her walk up and down, and that distracted this bricklayer who made the mess of this wall, and that wall fell on the innocent man and killed him. So after searching, it came to knowledge of the king that the merchant was none other than but the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. So now justice had come full circle, and the king declared who was the real culprit. The king declared that the merchant was the real culprit. He should be punished, and he was taken to the court again. When the merchant was arrived there, he was crying, and he told the king that it was not his fault. It was his father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead now. And the merchant told the king that he was innocent. He did not do anything. He is dead, but somebody must be punished in his place. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as well as his sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime. You must die." So when the king consulted with the minister, and ultimately he declared his decision that the true murderer was the merchant. So what if if the cause was established at the time of the merchant's father? It is true that merchant's father was the true murderer because he was the real cause who made all these things. The who made the goldsmith not to make the jewelry properly in time, who made the dancing girl to come again and again to the jeweler shop, who made the bricklayer to get distracted because of the dancing girl, and the wall which fell on the thief. So the real murderer was the father of the merchant, present merchant, and but he is dead now. So somebody must be punished in his place. The king told to the merchant that if the merchant had inherited everything from his father, his riches as well as his sins, Therefore, he deserved the punishment. He must die. And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. As the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense, the king too worried about it. So when the king declared the real culprit as the merchant, and he declared one more rule, that a new stake was to be made for the execution of that merchant. The servants obeyed the king. They made a stake and it was ready for the final impaling of the criminal. But it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was too thin to be properly executed on the stake. So he appealed to the king's common sense, and the king became worried. What of man fat enough to fit the stake? The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for a man who would fit the stake, and their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas and rice and wheat and ghee. What have I done wrong? I'm innocent. I'm a sannyasi, he cried. So when the stake was not fit to the merchant, that time the king thought that somebody must be executed there. So he ordered his man to go around the town to find out the man who would be fit to the stake. The man obeyed the king, and ultimately, after searching in the whole over the town, they reached to the disciple who, who stayed in that town just because of being fond of eating food. So he had already become too much fat after eating so much food. So the man of the king caught him because they thought that he would be uh, sufficient enough, or he would be appropriate for the stake. He would fit enough to the stake. But the disciple requested the men of the king. He requested that there was not any fault of him. He was an innocent. He was a sannyasi. He cried a lot, a lot, a lot. That may be true, but it is the royal decree that we should find a man fat enough to fit the stake. Decree means the order. So there, that may be true. The king's man accepted that may be true. He was a sannyasi. He was an innocent, but it was a royal order to find out a man fat enough to fit the stake. So they sat and carried him to the place of the execution. He remembered his wise guru in his heart, asking him to hear his cry wherever he was. The guru saw everything in a vision because he was a very great man. He had magic powers. He could see far, and he could see the future as he could see the present and the past. He arrived at once to save his disciple, who had got himself into such a scrape through love of food. So when the disciple was taken to the place of execution, he remembered the words told to him by the Guru, that this was a town of foolish people, and they are too much unpredictable. Nobody knows what they would do the next. And because of the foolishness, nobody can say that what would happen to them. So when the disciple was remembering all these things, the suggestions given to him by his guru, now he was repenting that why did he stay there? He stayed there for the food, but for his love of food. And he thought that how his love of food brought him to that condition, to that state when he was just before the death. That may be true. So now, dear student, we have understood that Obviously, foolish people are unpredictable and even they are incorrigible. When they are incorrigible, so we people have to think something beyond their imagination, something beyond their thinking to get rid of them. So, till this part of the story, we have come to know that Dancing Girl was also was declared as a culprit. He was also saved because of being too much thin. But unfortunately, the disciple was caught because of being fat after eating too much food, as he was fond of eating food, and that habit of him brought him to that condition. So, dear student, we should always think that whatever we are doing, what will be its after effect, where we are staying, what we are doing, and what will be the effect of our each and every action. So we should understand, and then we should do the task, whatever is needed and whatever is fruitful for us. So till then, this is the another part of the story. Why the disciple was being caught, we have come to know. But will the disciple be executed, or would he be saved by someone, as he remembered his guru and his guru had some magic power? So would the guru come to save his disciple, or he would also be caught in some trouble? We will come to know the answer of these questions in the next part of this story. Till then, you should stay home and stay safe. Thank you and have a nice day.